Superman has recently become one of my favorite superheroes. In the past, I was of the opinion that he was too overpowered, or that he wasn't as cool as other superheroes, because my metric for my favorite superheroes was directly linked to how cool I thought they were. I've never read a DC comic in my life. Everything of Superman that I saw as a kid was from the Super Friends, the Justice League, and a bit of Justice League Unlimited. I guess he just wasn't cool enough for young baby Giraffe. But only now, after watching over half of DC's animated movie roster, I realized how great a superhero Superman can be. In the hands of a bad writer, he can be wasted, left to fight and make jokes. But in the greatest stories, he can be used to accomplish almost anything. Only now, after being shown a Superman who might be cooler than the one I knew as a kid, do I realize how much I didn't understand from his stories. Today, I would like to review a Superman movie that demonstrates what all you can do with his character. This is your spoiler warning. I'm going to go over basically everything of importance from Superman Red Son. Now, if you have never heard of this movie before, you might be thinking to yourself, that doesn't look like the Superman I know, and you would probably be correct. This Superman doesn't stand for truth, justice, and the American way. No. This Superman is a communist.
The people of Moscow are hungry, but think what a feast there could be if we could create a socialist state that cared for the people like me.
Let's run through the plot really quick. Superman has landed in the USSR instead of Kansas. He uses his powers to build giant power plants, save people from falling satellites, and to intimidate America. In an interview with Lois, he expresses the faults he finds in the American system, while Lois straight up hands him a file with coordinates to the gulags that Superman claims doesn't even exist in Russia. He finds one and releases everyone. Then he goes to confront Stalin. Sufficient to say, Stalin falls way short from the man Superman believed him to be. Superman kills Stalin and takes control of the Soviet Union. Superman is resolved to commit fully to his idealistic version of communism. He liberates countries all over the world and grandfathers them into the Soviet Union. There seems to be peace all over till Batman, who is a terrorist now, starts blowing people up.
Did I say 10 minutes? I meant 10 seconds.
Superman also has to deal with Superior Man, an American-manufactured Lantern Corps, and Lex Luthor from America. Superman captures Batman, but is unable to reform him before Batman ultimately kills himself. He also stops Brainiac from escaping after shrinking down Stalingrad. He is able to reform him and uses Brainiac to rehabilitate people, help the economy, and keep the peace. Wonder Woman is very impressed with all Superman has been able to accomplish, but after being dissatisfied with how Superman handles dealing with the people behind the issues, she washes her hands of humans and flies away. Superman and Brainiac go to attack Lex Luthor, the President of the United States, but Superman realizes the compromises he's had to make to ensure a successful socialist state was too great a price, so he decides against starting a war with the USA. Brainiac, however, is not having it. He apparently was never reprogrammed, and was simply using Superman to gain power over more people. Lex and Superman stop Brainiac relatively quickly, but Superman has to fly his ship deep into space because it is going to self-destruct. Superman comes back after an explosion that probably should have killed him. He doesn't gain control of the Soviet Union, but lets America graft them in, creating a worldwide United States of America. I'm not going to say the plot is entirely fantastic. In fact, there are some things I despise about it. Basically, everything having to do with the Green Lanterns is garbage. To start, the ring is supposed to fly towards someone else once the wearer dies, not whatever this is. I hate that Lex Luthor is able to make copies of the Green Lantern rings. That should be impossible for any human. And if he was able to create some kind of copy, I would have liked them to be noticeably different. They're indistinguishable here. If they were significantly weaker and visibly different, I would have been much more on board with this section. But as it stands, it's horrible. The rings are indistinguishable from one another. With all that being said, I'm still going to give the plot of Red Sun a 5 out of 10. I think it does a pretty good job of putting all its characters in positions to create unique conflict. I very much enjoy Superman's interactions with Superior Man, Batman, Lois, and Wonder Woman. Now, let's focus on the characters.
The food on your plate now belongs to the state, a collective regime of peace and love.
Superman is dedicated to his morals. He does what he knows to be right every time. This is the question every Superman story can pose to its audience. What does it look like for someone to always be able to carry out their will? Superman meets opposition throughout the whole story, but he is almost always able to do whatever he wants. Red Sun gives Superman pure ideals in that he believes men to be good and believes that a communist society will benefit mankind best. Now, obviously there are huge problems with communism, but I'm not going to address them because Red Sun has Superman eliminate seemingly all of them. Then it merely becomes a question of how does a communist society function if it really was the most perfect, idealistic version of itself? Can Superman, the moral hero, coexist with a communist regime? I cannot get over how great this idea is. You take a hero that can accomplish almost anything he wants to. You take away every real-world obstacle that would make him fail, and then you pose the moral question of whether he was right or wrong the whole time. Can Superman, the man who only kills evil, rehabilitates criminals, gives terrorists a chance at life, and liberates the world from terror, can he be found fundamentally wrong about the nature of man, no matter how pure he is? It's very interesting, especially his interactions with Batman.
The rule of the game is we all are the same, and my blocks must create unbroken rows.
Batman is also one of my favorite heroes. You take the same formula you have for Superman, that is, he is totally resolved in doing right no matter what, but you absolutely bury him with physical struggles and obstacles in his way. Instead of Superman's strength, Batman only has his intellect and whatever he physically obtains for himself. Nothing comes easy for him. In Red Sun, he fights against Superman because of how blind Superman has become to the way he is controlling his citizens. So, Batman uses terrorism to, kill people. To be honest, this is pretty stupid. It's pretty clear that Batman hates the way Superman has taken away the world's freedom for his idealistic view of communism. But why would you kill innocent people? After his fight with Superman ends, he ends his own life, wanting to die rather than being forced to live without his freedom. This is what pushes Wonder Woman to abandon Superman's view of how to rule.
This is what all men bring upon themselves.
Wonder Woman was introduced very well. I thought she was going to play a much bigger role for Superman by challenging his ideas and offering solutions that he would have to compromise his beliefs for. But instead, she just ends up leaving after she realizes Superman is wrong. I would have loved it if she would have also done some talking with Lex or Lois as well. We don't get anything with her and her views on America, other than that she doesn't like them fighting. Pretty lame. Now for Lex.
No one gets the freedom they were told that they deserve till they realize that freedom's not a noun. It's a verb, freedom is a verb.
In contrast with Superman, who uses a moral character in charge of an evil nation, Lex does some very questionable things, but he is on the side of the free world. He creates Superior Man and sends him to his death. He drops a satellite on an American city to lure Superman to Lois. He duplicates the Green Lantern rings to kill Superman, but yet we are led to believe that he is the ideal president and leader of the USA. The question he poses is whether a bad man can accomplish good by evil means. He does do one good thing. After the Soviet Union falls, he says he's done what he set out to do for the country. and he resigns in order to let a better person lead America. Lois is alright. She provides some pushback for Luthor's bad actions, and she was the first and then the final person who showed Superman his error. Like I said earlier, the Lantern stuff is crap, so Hal doesn't get anything good from Red Sun. And finally, Brainiac as a villain was fine, nothing great. He basically only serves as a common enemy for Superman and Lex Luthor at the end of the movie. He doesn't serve any other purpose other than trying to tempt Superman to stop Luthor and attack America. Characters gets a hard 6 out of 10. The animation isn't anything to write home about. It's very much fine. The character designs are pretty great. Superman, Wonder Woman, Lois, Lex look amazing. Basically, everyone but Batman looks great. Batman looks a little off. Maybe it's the hat. The music is pretty great, especially the main theme. Superman Red Sun is one of my favorite DC animated films. However, it's only getting a 6 out of 10. Batman and the Green Lantern sections really drag this film down, but the way they use Superman is done very well. If you find yourself apathetic towards Superman, I very much recommend you check out Red Sun. Again, having a character who is fully committed to pure ideals, whether it is Superman or Batman, can be used greatly to present different moral questions to their audience. Both Superman and Batman can inspire others to do the right thing no matter what. When you put different obstacles in their way, to show what all it can mean to take a stand for what they believe, it gets me very interested in their stories and the choices they make. And when they disagree, or are challenged on what they know to be right, it can make for some great tension. Superman Red Sun does this very well. Although many aspects of this film aren't as good as I would like them to be, it's still one of my favorite DC movies because of how well they use Superman. Thanks for watching, everyone. I have snaveled 2 songs, The Complete History of the Soviet Union Through the Eyes of a Humble Worker. It's a great song, and you guessed it, it tells the story of the Soviet Union, using the Tetris theme.
Hip hip hurrah for the USSR, we are sending our men to outer space.
I very much recommend it, along with the second song, which is Freedom is a Verb.
Well, they'll tell you that your liberty is constantly in jeopardy. It's something you must loyally defend.
Both of these songs have links in the description. Again, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.
A handful of unruly demonstrations, and they call it an uprising.
This is what the government's afraid of, Diana.
Checkmate, Superman. What is this? Checkmate. Lies.